What if the most reliable guidance system you have is the one you've spent your whole life ignoring? Welcome back to another episode of Captain Help. Each episode of Captain Help explores how we think, live, and misread each other. Calm reflections with a hint of irony and a whole lot of sense. Today, we're diving into intuition. And honestly, this is one of my favorite topics. Not because it's mystical, but because it's incredibly logical, human, and yes, almost moving. You know that feeling, you enter a room and without anyone saying a word, you know what the atmosphere is. Or you meet someone and something inside you says, this is right, or careful here. And then your mind steps in and asks, but what are you basing that on? And the honest answer is often, I have no idea, but here's the beautiful thing, your intuition does know because it's been training your entire life. Let's recognize something extraordinary for a moment. Your brain remembers almost everything. No, you can't consciously recall it all. That would be overwhelming. But under the surface lies a massive archive, a library of millions of tiny moments, micro-expressions, tones of voice, situations, patterns, emotions, successes, mistakes, everything. And that archive is always active, always comparing, always matching. When you meet someone, your conscious mind notices their words, their outfit, maybe their handshake, but your intuition notices micro-expressions, timing, breathing, body energy, tone shifts, and thousands of past experiences that resemble this moment. It's like your subconscious whispers, hold on, this feels like something you once lived through, even if you forgot it consciously. Or think about patterns. We're walking pattern detectors. Even when you think you're not paying attention, you're absorbing patterns constantly. How people behave, what tension feels like, what safety feels like, how honesty sounds, how manipulation sounds. And most of that happens without your awareness. That's why intuition sometimes feels like it comes out of nowhere, while in reality it comes from thousands of micro-observations you did store, but never consciously noticed. It's like your brain assembles a giant puzzle and only shows you the completed picture, not the pieces. And then there's something even more fascinating. Your body. It acts like an old wise friend who speaks before you've even formed a sentence. You know the moments you say, I'm fine, but your chest feels heavy. Or you meet someone and your stomach tightens just a little. Or you consider an option and suddenly feel this warm, gentle ease, long before you can explain why. That's your body talking to you. Your body reacts before your thoughts do. It picks up subtle signals you don't consciously register, a twitch around someone's mouth, a slight change in tone, the energy in a room shifting. Your body notices it all, often faster than your conscious brain can process. And then you get that well-known gut feeling. Not because your gut is psychic, but because your body is the first part of you that says, hey, pay attention. Sometimes it's a soft relaxation whispering, this feels right. Sometimes it's a small contraction saying, something's off. So let me put it this way. Your intuition isn't just a feeling, it's the combined wisdom of your entire life, all your experiences, all your signals, all your stored knowledge, wrapped into one simple message. This feels right. And here's the amazing part. Intuition is evolutionary. Imagine early humans hearing a rustle in the bushes. There was no time to analyze. Acting quickly mattered. Their intuitive system noticed cues, remembered danger, sensed safety, and reacted before a conscious thought formed. That ancient mechanism still lives inside you. We needed intuition because the world was unpredictable. Most communication was non-verbal, and our brains needed shortcuts. Intuition became the signal that cut through the noise, and it still does. We're drowning in information, opinions, data, choices, messages. Logic is helpful but slow. Intuition is fast. It tells you what actually matters. Today's biggest decisions often have no perfect logical answer. Should you take the job? Move cities, leave, stay, start, stop? Logic gives details, intuition gives direction. That's why intuition isn't meant to replace rationality. It's meant to work with it. Think of intuition as your compass and logic as your map. The compass points you toward what feels true and aligned. The map helps you navigate the path. You need both. A map without a compass can take you confidently the wrong way. A compass without a map can leave you wandering. Together, you get clarity. Intuition isn't magic. It's experience moving faster than words. And here's the fun part. Intuition grows. Truly. The more you live, the more you learn. The more you observe, reflect, experiment, the richer that underground archive becomes. When you listen to your first feeling more often, when you check afterward what was right, when you dare to trust those subtle signals, intuition becomes clearer, louder, more refined. It's like a muscle. You've always had it, but you can train it. But here's the thing. Intuition only works when you give it space. And that's hard in a world where everything screams. Intuition doesn't try to overpower you. It doesn't push or rush. It shows up as a steady sense of clarity, the kind that feels the same every time you check in with it. Worry behaves very differently. The more you listen to worry, the louder it gets. It demands urgency, certainty, and guarantees. It spins scenarios, creates pressure, and piles what-ifs on top of one another. Intuition feels like a consistent signal. Worry feels like noise. Once you start noticing that difference, it becomes unmistakable. And there's something important to acknowledge. Intuition is wise, but not perfect. It's fast, but sometimes, a little too fast. It's sensitive, but sometimes it's sensitive to old wounds, past fears, or just outdated patterns. Sometimes your body reacts to an old story. Sometimes your brain recognizes a pattern that used to be dangerous, but isn't anymore. And sometimes something feels off, simply because it's unfamiliar, not because it's actually wrong. That's why, honestly, blind trust in intuition isn't the goal. The goal is collaboration. You and your intuition. You and your rational mind. You and your body. All in conversation together. Intuition can point you in a direction, but it's your job to check. Does this feeling match the reality of this moment? That doesn't make intuition less magical. It actually makes it mature. You use your intuition as a guide, not as a dictator. So, how to activate intuition? Here are 4 simple but powerful steps you can start using immediately. Step 1. Create a moment of silence, even just 10 seconds. Nothing complicated, just a breath, a small pause. Intuition does not arrive in the middle of mental noise. Step 2. Notice the first signal, that tiny feeling before the doubt arrives. That's intuition. Everything after that is just your mind talking over it. Step 3. Practice with small choices. Which route feels good? Which idea energizes you? Which option feels lighter? That's how you train intuition, not with big decisions, but with small repetitions. Step 4. Look back afterward. Ask yourself, what did my intuition feel like? What was right about it? Reflection is really the secret that sharpens intuition. Can you summon intuition? Not by force, but you can invite it by breathing, by pausing, by loosening your mental grip, by feeling instead of only thinking. And when you do that, the intuition almost always shows up. So if you ever doubt whether you have intuition, believe me, you do, and it's been working hard for you for years, maybe your whole life. And here's the part people often forget. Learning to use your intuition is really learning to do one simple thing, to trust yourself. All you need to do is listen. Thank you for being here. If something in you softened, clicked, or gently nodded, that might have been your intuition itself. Thank you for watching Captain Help. Each episode of Captain Help explores how we think, live, and misread each other. Calm reflections with a hint of irony and a whole lot of sense. Captain Help, smarter every day in every way. I'll see you in the next episode, and until then, trust yourself and trust what you already know.